Viola Kilmer, January 1886 to February 21, 1956, in St. John the Evangelist Cemetery in Barrytown. A granite memorial shared with her parents, straight back from the driveway, northwest of a cedar tree. Viola's mother, Julia Alice Moore of Madeline, was Webster Kilmer's second wife, whom he married after his first wife had died. So Viola had many siblings. 3 half-siblings, Georgiana, who married Joseph Watson, Webster Jr., and Florence, who married William Monroe, and 3 full ones, Bertha, who married Clayton Hermans, Percy, and Walter. Both of Viola's parents were of German Palatine descent. Webster was a teamster and a carpenter on the New York Central Railroad. Their family home was on River Road in Annandale and still stands today, though it is owned by Bard College and operated as housing for graduate students. Viola was born in January of 1886 in Milan. She did not marry and was recorded in the 1910 census of Red Hook as residing with her family and having no occupation. But just 5 years later, she can be found in the 1915 census in Rochester, working as a nurse in the home of Francis Ward and his family. The Wards had 2 other servants, a wet nurse and a cook. For whatever reason, by 1920, Viola removed to New York City, and along with 9 others worked for the family of Manhattan lawyer McDowell Hawkes. She would remain in this occupation for the rest of her life, but a few years after her stint in Manhattan, moved in with her half-sister Florence and her husband, Australian William Monroe, in Albany. Viola completed her education at the National Training School for Certified Nurses in June of 1932. Established circa 1890, this non-for-profit institution offered schooling for women hoping to work in both public and private sectors of the profession. Such opportunities were not widely available to women until the second half of the 19th century, spurred on by the visibility provided by their contributions during the Civil War, and famously by Florence Nightingale championing their work following the Crimean War. Nursing was then one of the few professions deemed acceptable in polite society for women to pursue, be they married or single. Schools like the National Training School would proliferate, and by the turn of the 20th century, hundreds of such institutions would come into operation across the country. As students, many worked in hospitals, but most that completed their training would go on to work in private homes. It would seem that Viola's career was entirely private, even before gaining her certification, but perhaps this was less about choice and more to do with the convention. Jean C. Whalen, in her article American Nursing, An Introduction to the Past, stated that, quote, "It was not until the mid-20th century that hospitals hired nurses as regular staff on a permanent basis, providing full professional nursing services to all hospitalized patients," end quote. Viola died February 21, 1956, in Albany at 70 years of age, and is buried with her mother and father.